and find the template. So just going to walk you through where to find the right template. So on the Moodle in illustration, you're going to go down here to the resources folder. So you see there's a resources folder for each unit. So we're doing this one, and we've got a number of different templates. The ones I want you to download right now is the RGB one. We're just going to work with that today. So download that. Just note where it's downloading to. Usually automatically it will go to downloads, but you can tell it to download somewhere else. So it should turn up in your downloads folder, and then just open it. So I'll just wait until everybody gets to that point before I start. So you've got to download the template, and it'll ask you to log into Adobe Illustrator. So open it, and you just use your same TAFE password that you logged in this morning with, exactly the same. I'm just going to wait till everybody's got that template that I'm seeing it on your screens. Anybody having trouble finding it, just please put your hand up. It's okay, I'm new to it. So, yeah, it says RGB template. Yeah, right, that one. Yeah, it's RGB. I think it's I'm maybe not sure. Like that. No, it doesn't make it's turned to one line. I'm just putting it down on something and say it to me. Has anybody found it?
This one?
Yeah, it says RGB. RGB. It should say RGB.
This one?
Yep, that's it. RGB.ai. So, did you find it? So, is it just click on the link to download the Okay. Found it? Oh yes, you've got to log in. It takes a little bit of time to log in. Everybody on this side found the template? Right. So I think most people have found it. And now Illustrator, when you open it, might not look the same as mine. So we've got a couple of things to do. So the first thing is to go to your File menu and check out the colour mode we want to work in. So just go there to begin with. So this is following up on what you've just learned about the different colour modes. You're going to the File menu and you're telling it to work in colour mode RGB. Yeah, you just click on that and then you know it's working in RGB. You can see you can switch to CMYK at any point for any file. You right?
Yeah, good question. How come it doesn't say like another color modes like Pantone or something?
Because the Pantone is an extra system that we have to bring up a separate palette for.
Okay.
So these are the two major colour modes, and then Pantone is really something that you use on top of CMYK. So it's an extra system. When we do there's an exercise all on Pantones, so at that point you'll learn how to find the Pantones. Yep, but at the moment, because it's not a colour mode. RGB, it's a colour system, it's a labelling system, a number system, but Pantone is not an actual colour mode. So not on the computers anyway.
Okay.
So RGB, colour mode. So if your screen's not showing these things, one of the first things I do is just think about your workspace. So if you go to the window menu, I would switch it to, it's probably you're sitting on Essentials, probably looks like that, nothing much showing. But if you go to Window Workspace, Essentials Classic, and you'll see there's a layout, there's a space for printing and proofing, and you can make your own workspace. And at any point, if you lose things and you can't find something, you can always reset back to one of these. So I'm going to go to Essentials Classic, and to get these menus, I'll close them and just to sort of talk about how to get these to come up. Just going to close them. So it probably looks like this now, and you've got a little bit more showing up the top. Yeah? Look like that? Okay, so we're going to go back to that window menu, and we're going to do a thing. We're going to bring up what's called a swatch library. Sorry, this one, swatches, just swatches. And that will bring up a default set of swatches. So click on, go to the window menu, and then click on swatches. And it should look something like this. And then just click on the first thing at the top there and just stick a yellow in it. So these are pretty standard colours, and they'll be the ones we'll use mostly for the colour wheel anyway. So this is a standard set of swatches which you can add to, and you can see down here further that you can access lots of different swatch libraries, and we can also add our own libraries in there. We'll learn how to do that later. I'm not going to do that right now, but we just want to colour the first one with your standard yellow. Questions?
Yeah, I'm having some trouble selecting that cell. Do I need to have a certain tool to select it?
Click on it with the yeah, if you didn't select it, when you're selecting, if it doesn't select easily, just hover around the edge of it, like on the line, and you'll find it'll select. So selecting and deselecting, when you click on an object, you're selecting it. When you click out of it, you're deselecting. So you need to go to the window menu, you go up there, window menu, and workspace, window workspace, and I said Essentials Classic, yeah, and then you're going to go to window menu, go right down to, not swatch libraries, just this one, swatches, and you'll get a default set of swatches, yeah, and just check, did you check in the file menu that your document icon mode is RGB? Yes, so that's good. So just select that first top one. So go closer to the edge of it. Yeah, and now you've got it selected. Just fill it with yellow. So you put your first colour in, but now we want to check the numbers for that colour. So remember, I've been talking all this time about how colours have numbers. We want to see the RGB numbers for that colour. So let's have a look at, we can do it a couple of ways. We could double click here on the colour swatch, and notice that it's got the big square forward, which is referring to that fill colour. This refers to the stroke colour. So I could change that stroke colour to red, for example. Whatever's forward, you can see I'm only going to affect the stroke. So I could change it to magenta. But when I bring this one forward, so if you click on it, it comes forward, then I'm changing the fill. And, you know, I could change it to a different yellow, for example. But actually I'm quite happy with that yellow. So how do we figure out what colour I'm actually looking at? You can double click on that colour, and it'll bring up this colour picker. Now the colour picker looks very similar in Illustrator and in Photoshop. And what's great about the colour picker is you can literally start moving around, and if that's selected and that's forward, I could change the colours here. But what I'm really interested in is those RGB numbers. So what I'm going to do is describe this number in colours and note the hexadecimal code. So I could send off that code to a web developer and know that that is the exact colour that they'll do. So for your first one, just have a look at that, So R, G and B, I've got 255, 241 and 0. So if I can remember that, my brain will, and I can just drag on the page, click with the text tool, drag a little box and just put them in. So R equals whatever I said, I can't remember.
255.
Oh, very good, yeah. Somebody's brain is a lot younger than mine. 255. And then G equals whatever it was.
241.
Oh, you're so good, thank you.
It's not like I have it on my screen.
And B for blue equals 0. So I've just described that exact colour in numbers, and I'll just, and you know, this is just also a good exercise in moving around Illustrator and getting to use the tools a little bit. So my type's a little small, it's at 12 points, so maybe I want to make it a little bit bigger. You'll have this bar that pops up. For any tool you're using, it'll pop up and you can move it around. If it's in the way, just click on the little bar there and move it out of the way. So the black tool here is basically your move tool, as well as being the selection tool. If you want to deselect something and stop working with it, you just click off somewhere else on the page. Click on with that black selection tool and it will allow you to move the whole thing around the page. You could put it on there if you like. Yeah, so we can actually see the colour formula. So we're describing that RGB in RGB numbers. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do this whole exercise. But to do it, you want to do the in-between steps, the sort of the main colours first, and then find the in-between ones. You can refer back to the document, so it gives you a guide. So I suggest you go get your yellow, and then go here and try and find that orange, and then you're looking for 2 steps in between. And you'll find that the standard colours on those swatches will probably do the job, or you can adapt the colour with the colour picker until you're a bit happier with it if it doesn't quite match. So the main colours is you've got a sort of an aqua blue, that's opposite to orange, you've got a purple. Everyone's will be slightly different, and that's okay. See the steps there are a bit jarring. I think that's wrong actually. That looks a bit weird. So let's just do our colours, and it's meant to be a smooth transition. So if I have a look along there, I've got a pretty strong orange I can put in. You can just go around and put the ones you think match. That should be a pretty aqua blue. And then we're looking for the steps in between. So you've basically got a halfway point. This one's got a little bit more yellow in it. So look along here for a slightly greener yellow, which might be that one. And then look along here for another step that's wrong. That should be there, I think. So a slightly yellow green, be that one. And then a much more blue added to it. So it's got to be a bluer green, maybe something like that. If you feel like or maybe that, if you feel like there's not enough range, that's where your colour picker comes in. So you can go off here and go, okay, I think really that probably should have been here. So you're looking visually for a bit of a step in between. If that needs a bit more yellow, you could experiment with coming down here to something that you think is yellower. So it's a nice little exercise in just sort of getting you used to some of the features and moving around Illustrator and adjusting the colours till you get something that's a bit smoother. And then if that step isn't right, but you could put the basic colours in and then go and adjust them. So, is that close enough? And this probably still isn't right, so I need to fiddle. That's not bad, it's just got a bit of green in it. If I wanted to sort of play around with it, I certainly could. But that's too much of a jump. We just wanted a very slight greenish yellow. So you're looking for a greenish yellow there. And you can move across here, so you can kind of go across in terms of, if I move up here, see how that's going a bit lighter? If I move down here, I've got the same hue, but I'm going a bit less saturated if I move down here. So you can either use a slider, or you can be quite delicate and move here. And then, so I would sort of spend a bit of time being happy with these steps, because I think the student one I put in there was not the best. But it gives you a bit of an idea where things are going. What do you think is a good step between that aqua blue, so it's a greenish blue, and then we've got a bluer blue. So you can experiment here. Yeah, so just use your own judgment. Yours won't necessarily match mine, but it'll be close. And then when you're happy with the colour, double click on the picker and just write down the numbers you're seeing there. So I've got 91, 206, 184, and you can put the hexadecimal code in if you like as well. That's a good thing to get used to, because a web designer, if you're doing a prototype or working with a logo for a website version, the coder who's fixing the website is not really interested in these numbers. They're interested in this hex code. That's what they'll want from you. So at any point you can go back into the program and find it for the web designer you might be working with. So see how you go with that exercise. The idea is to get something that looks like you've gone around the whole, sorry, I should have been looking at the RGB one. Yeah, the whole RGB. You can see that's not right. That one's not right. That's not a good example in there. But when you get down to here, so the opposite colour is your that quite dark purple. Then we want an in-between step that is a little bit bluish. You might find a bluish purple there, but you might think, it's not quite right. Can I adjust it? Up to you, but you can see it's got more blue in it than the purple. So the in-between step in between, I could even start off with maybe that one is good. So sometimes the colours, the preset colours will work for you, but maybe not these lighter steps that you've got to do. So just work your way around it. So obviously now we're stepping from purple towards red. So is there something that looks a bit like a purple but is a bit more reddish? Maybe that one. And then another step again that's on its way towards being red. So maybe that. And again, adjust it if you don't think it's right. And then we're up to these two steps. So this is stepping back towards yellow. So it's you've got this kind of nice orange red, and I need it to be more of a yellow red. So maybe that's not enough of a difference, nor is that. So that's one where I would probably want to go in and just experiment with getting maybe a little bit more yellow in there. So it's going a bit more pumpkin-y, because there's another step in here which is also reddish yellow, but it's a little bit lighter. And if it's a bit too mucky, you could move along the top of these ones. But these are getting very pastel, yeah, and desaturating, so removing purity of colour. So this is your most saturated colour at this end and desaturated down this end. So that looks like it's got a fair amount of yellow in it. I'm reasonably okay with that, but it is a bit dark, so maybe I want to go back a bit lighter. So use your judgment with them, and now I need another step towards yellow. So is there an existing one, possibly? Possibly that one, but again, maybe it's too close to that. Maybe I have to spend a bit of time adjusting that one to be a little bit more yellowish. So I could experiment with moving it up. I could fiddle around up here till I'm a bit happier with it. Still a bit mucky. Maybe I need to come back here. Still a bit icky. Maybe over here is going to look better. I think I'm kind of happier with it. Something like that. So it should feel like you're stepping around the colour wheel. something like that, and then you just look as you look at each one, come out of the colour picker and just check what, by clicking on the double clicking, you can see the hex code and you can see the RGB. So you just click on the page to do the text. You just click on the page with the text tool anywhere you like. It'll put this lorem ipsum text out there, and you can just click and drag across it to change it, and you can see when I click on it and drag holding the mouse down, then I can adjust the font size, and I could also choose a different font if I wanted to. So if I really hated that, and then I can just type in my R each equals blah blah blah. So once you've done it once, quick way so you're not wasting time, when you've done one, is to hold down the Option key and drag, or Command C, Command V and make a copy, and that way you've got it already set, and you just go in and click and just change the numbers and then plonk it back on. So Option and drag is copying. Otherwise, the longer way of doing it is your traditional way, which is edit, copy, and then edit, paste, or Command C and then Command V. On the Macs, it's good to learn Option copy, which you hold down the Option key and you just drag with the Move tool and you'll get a copy. I'm going to stop now and come around and just troubleshoot anyone that's got lost.